clinical director of the Rebecca School, which is on 30th Street between Madison and Park. And it's a school for kids on the neurodevelopmental spectrum, which is to say kids with autism, or kids on the autism spectrum, or kids with developmental disorders of relating and communicating. I'm a clinical psychologist. I was a teacher. And I got into the autism world because as I went through my doctoral program, it seemed to me, for the most part, that nothing actually had any demonstrable proof that it worked. So I went through all the psychoanalytic stuff, and it seems nice. Talk to people to get better, seems pretty good. I'll go with that. And then one day, I took a class and I saw a video of a guy named Ibar Lobos. Do you know who Ibar Lobos is? He's a charming, wonderful, delightful, sweet man who somewhere in the 60s decided that kids on the autism spectrum didn't need to be institutionalized, that they could in fact be worked with. And all you had to do was take Skinner's principles, and it seemed like they would work. And he actually did it. And he was so lovely and charming. Really a remarkable video. I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. I'd like to do that. It's something that actually works. So I kept my hand in autism, kept it in, kept it in, kept it in. And I got a chance to open up the school. And how a school might be a home for kids on the spectrum. So I thought there were two different themes here. And one of them is that schools have a responsibility to kids to treat them as if they were their loving parents. And parents do want you desperately to love their child. And they want you to take care of them as if you were their parent when they drop them at the door. So that seemed to me like theme number one. So this is me as a baby, and that's my loving sister, and that's me as it's only a few months, less than a year. And then this is remarkable. You're all on Facebook or some version of that, right? So I have a professional site on Facebook. All of a sudden it says, Gil Tippy tagged in a photograph. I don't even know what that means. It must mean something. So I click on it, and this is the photograph. And that's me. And it seems to me that I have cake on my face or something. But this is my nursery school class. Back in 1959, 1960, somewhere around there. This is my nursery school class, and these are all my little nursery school friends. And this was really my first exposure to the experience of other people taking me and treating me as if they were my parents. And this is Peter Mills. He'll probably be glad I pointed him out. And Bill Cody. And their parents opened this nursery school. That's what the state of education used to be like. You'd go someplace, and you know what you did in nursery school? You played. You played in nursery school. What do you do in nursery school now? You learn to read, you learn your colors, you begin to take tests, you do things, never mind kindergarten. Right? Kindergarten, which is about playing, right? Isn't it kindergarten about playing? No, it's not actually. Not anymore. There are high standards for kindergarten. And this is Mr. Wilson at my 50th birthday party, by the way. This is my high school gym teacher. 14, and the phone would ring on a Sunday afternoon. Then, hey, Tip. You're like, Mr. Wilson? Like, we're opening up the gym. You want to come down and shoot? He's a high school gym teacher. If you would just open the gym, unlock the gym. You can't do that angeanymore, of course, right? Because the insurance company would like you doing it. Kids on Sunday morning! Freak out. But George would just call and open the gym, and he'd say, Tip, if you ever want a meal, go down to my mother's house. Just knock. No, you can just knock on the door. It's okay. Knock on the door, and you can get a meal. And this lovely man was my mentor, and so I invited him back to my birthday party, actually at Yankee Stadium, which was a really nice thing for him because he dreamed of being a Major League Baseball player, but World War II intervened. Here's the most famous guy, the most important man whose name you never heard of in the world of child development. This is Stanley Greenspan. He stood up and he said nonsense to the behavioral model. Nonsense. Anybody who can read Anybody who understands Piaget, anybody who has bothered to do the reading in psychology understands how children grow. Just because a kid has autism doesn't mean that you have to sit him between your knees, do discrete trials, reinforce him with a Cheerio, they don't even like Cheerios, reinforce him with an M&M. Nonsense. Kids grow up in concert with adults to start, and then they spread that out. And if you want to make kids on the autism spectrum better, you've got to be in a relationship with them. And he began to fight in the 70s and the 80s, and you know, the model grew and grew and grew. He developed a developmental model. He looked at Piaget, and he looked at psychoanalysis, he put them together, and he came up with a developmental model that took into account kids' sensory systems. Stanley actually stood up and he said, "We're not treating kids like human beings, and it's wrong." Within very close driving distance of where you are right now, you can go to a place where kids are shocked, where they use electroshock to train kids. They shock kids. They do. And I have a good friend who just went there as part of a state review panel. And he sat in the classes and he watched. And he said, "Gil," and he's a behaviorist. He's a rat behaviorist. He doesn't believe one thing I believe. He doesn't believe any of this. He's a rat behaviorist. So he said, "I went into the director's office, and the guy said to me, do you want to feel it?" The guy said to him, "Do you want me to do it, or do you want to do it?" And so he shocked himself, and he said it was the most excruciating thing that he had ever felt in the world. And he came back and he said, "Gil, I may not agree with anything that you're doing." He's wrong, by the way. He's not right. "I may not agree with anything that you're doing, and I always thought that there was a place for punishment in the world of developmental disabilities, and today I no longer believe that. Today I no longer believe there's a place for punishment." So in the world of developmental disabilities, we're actually punishing kids. And the atrocities that get committed against kids in the name of trying to help them are absurd. So I just want you to know that this guy stood up in the middle of all of that, didn't have to, stood up in the middle of all of that and said, "No, the way you treat kids is to pick them up, hold them, and get them going back and forth, and I'm going to show you how to do it." And what he developed was something called the DIR model. Look, the two concepts that I want you to think about in terms of home. One is that these children are the most beloved things in these parents' worlds, and they entrust them to us. And we are in loco parentis to them. And the second thing is that you are not home if someone is imposing their will on you, and you're not home if you're not able to have free thought, and you're not home if people are punishing you, and you're not home if people are disrespecting you and not giving you time to process. And this man, this great Stanley Greenspan, is the man who actually taught me this. That everybody deserves respect, everybody deserves love. There is never a reason to aggress against a child, never. And if you hide behind technology to do it, there's something wrong. So I thank you so much. You really